Hello again, everyone. This is the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. You are looking at the infamous or famous Singer 301A in black. If any of you have been watching my videos recently, I've been using this as an example of demonstrating some of the processes, or in this case, all of the processes I use to overhaul a machine. I can't do this with every machine I have because overhauling them takes quite a few hours, and the videos, of course, take more. But occasionally I pick a machine out that I want to do to use as an example to kind of make videos of and showing how the restoration process works. Now, one of the things that you may not notice about this machine, and it's particular to Singer 301s, for example. You may have this on another machine, and that is this little thread guide slash wheel. It's like a little, not really a pulley, but it's part of the thread guide system that is used when you are going to wind a bobbin. And this being the spool for winding a bobbin, of course you would put your spool of thread here. The thread would come under this little guide, and then it goes straight up to the bobbin winder, onto the bobbin, and of course you disengage the machine and you wind the bobbin. Well, the reason I'm talking about this today is not to wind a bobbin, but to kind of mention to you that this is a little place that can easily be forgotten, and for reasons that are unclear to me, they sometimes have dirt or dust under them, and they also have oxidation. I would say maybe 1 out of 3, right? Maybe a third of them are a little oxidized, and it's something that can be easily addressed. And mercifully, like most everything else on a vintage sewing machine, it has a screw that allows you to remove the part, unlike modern consumables that basically don't let you work on them. So I'm going to take this off. I'll zoom in just a little bit here, see if we can get a little bit closer up view for you. So it has a screw, of course, and there it is, right? Now, this little device is made of steel, and it was coated in nickel. And remember, it is 70 years old, so if I bring it up close and let you guys see it, you're going to see a little bit of surface rust. Again, it's nothing major, nothing we can't take care of. See if that zooms in a little bit. Some of that is old oil and dust and dirt. And if we go underneath, you'll see, again, it's just on the surface here. It doesn't really interfere. In fact, I don't have any on the little pulley itself. But you know what? We want to go ahead and get this cleaned up. It's not going to take very much. And again, it just kind of makes everything come together with the machine. And, you know, why ignore it? It was so easy. You saw how easily I took that off. Obviously, all these, simple procedures add up to quite a few hours. I've given quite a few hours to this machine, as I do all of them. And I wanted to, let's see, where's my alcohol here? So what we'll do what I often do with a metal part. Again, you would never do this with a painted part, because I've mentioned to you all, any solvent, including alcohol, will severely and instantly damage your beautiful lacquer, so we don't want it there. Now, what I'm going to do first, of course, is I'm going to take my cotton swab, and I'm going to put it in the alcohol. I'm just going to kind of go over the part here, and you can see I'm already pulling what is some basically light rust. Again, these machines really, rust is not something you really ever have an issue with in terms of the body of a machine. The painted surface, usually the only issues I have with rust are if someone has left a machine outdoors, and that can be really unfortunate. And I try to avoid machines like that. Sometimes I'll take on one just to see if I can do it, but it's not always fun. But don't let surface rust scare you, because again, this is not a mechanical part. And look, I'm getting a lot of this off just with the alcohol, but we're not going to leave it with that. We're going to go with metal polish. Metal polish doesn't just shine metal, it actually cleans it. Metal polishes have solvents, they have oils, and they sometimes have a different pH. Sometimes they'll put a little make them a little acidic to help get rid of oxidation. So I've gotten quite a bit off here, and you can see it on my cotton swab there. So now I want to come back, and I'm going to use, again, the Barkeeper's Friend. This is the, it functions as both a liquid, it's really a liquid polish. Now, the original was created as a cleanser, so it's an abrasive, but the liquid version is not that abrasive, and it's not going to hurt this part. In fact, I expect it to help it quite a bit. So in this case, I'm going to put some of the Barkeepers, again, this is not the powder, you want the liquid. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to try to hold it, a little part here, and just going to let it sit. I'm going to kind of get the part wet with this stuff before I start polishing it, because I want to give it time to kind of react. There's going to be a little reaction with the metal and the rust on the metal, and you want to give it a chance to work on its own chemically before actually buffing or polishing it. So you can see I'm just going to, like I say, just dab it around here, get it onto the surface. I don't need to get it into this little wheel. I don't have rust there, and I really don't want to have to go digging it out. Don't forget to get on the ends, because the edges of metal, sometimes the coating there, in this case nickel, sometimes it'll be a little thinner there than it is on the main sides. So once you've done that, come back with a dry, well, actually I can start with the cotton swab I had anyway. And I'm just going to kind of just start rubbing here with the swab, and now you can see I'm getting more of what's in the metal off. And this usually will take care of any oxidation you've got. If your oxidation is heavy and if the metal is very pitted, there are other products you can use. They make stuff called Evapo-Rust, and there are other things you can actually soak metal parts in to remove rust. This is superficial oxidation. This part is not technically rusted deeply. It's just on the surface, and that's where metal polishes are really awesome. They can really help you just, clean up anything that has surface rust on them, and it's really pretty simple. It's not that all that involved. And I want to get down into there with the cotton swab. And again, I'll come over on this side, and I'm just going to, like I say, you don't need anything more abrasive than just a cotton swab and this polish, right? And if you have some areas where the nickel has worn away, as long as you get the rust off, those areas may end up looking a little black when you're done, and that's okay. Not a big deal there. I'm going to shift the angle of my camera here just a bit so I can get a little bit better spot here. We're in the end of the evening here, so we're getting toward the end of the day, and we're getting the remains of the natural light coming in here. And now I'm going to go back with another little layer of this product. Sometimes you can do it more than once, and you'll get more. And again, it's really all we're really needing here is to get in that little divot there. We just want to get in and get the surface rust off so that we don't really have any more rust. Again, it's nothing deep. And you might think, oh, why bother? This is just a little guide for the bobbin winder. If this is your machine, of course you would want this taken care of. It's not going to dissolve or seriously rust anytime soon, but why not? Why not do it the right way and get your machine ready, right? This is an heirloom quality device. You guys hear me use that term a lot. These machines were built to a standard that you can't buy. You really cannot buy a home sewing machine that's made of this quality, no matter where it's made. They don't make them anywhere in the world anymore. We have all been conditioned as consumers to pay, generally, there's exceptions of course, to pay less for stuff. And this machine today would be very expensive, and it's a straight stitch machine with reverse, right? No fancy features, but what it does it beautifully. And there's a reason why quilters, who were my first customers, by the way, a long time ago, they were the first people that I met that wanted machines restored. And there's a reason why they covet machines like the 301, like the Featherweight, and like the 201, and others. They covet them because of not only how well they're made, but the beautiful stitches they produce. And again, there's a tradition to these machines. So now I'm going to take, I've got a little soft fabric here. Again, one of my little remnants of test sewing. This was on another machine, obviously, because 301s don't do zigzag. And I'm just going to buff it out here. And now, if you look at it, we have a shiny piece. There's a little staining left, but like I said, we've essentially gotten rid of, I'll go back with a little alcohol to see if there's anything else that'll come off. Yeah, there was still a little bit coming out of there. Basically, we've gotten the surface rust off, and if you want to, you can certainly do what we've done with things like those thread tension discs. I'm going to let me pan back out here, getting a little too close up there. I'm going to take a little sewing machine oil. And again, remember, the purpose of this is not lubricating a moving part. We don't need to do this. What we are doing is we're going to put a drop, one drop or two on each side. And as soon as I get that oil on, I want to basically just kind of smear it around the part, get it in there, into all the little nooks and crannies. And then I'll go back with my soft cloth and I'm going to immediately buff it off. Now you may think, well, why are you taking it off? You just put it on. Because a residual amount of oil will stay on this piece. Unless you clean it with alcohol, there's still a little bit of oil, and it's just enough to repel any moisture from creating any surface rust in the future. Should last a long time, but it's not so much oil that it's going to attract dust and you're going to end up with a mess. Because again, I can certainly repeat that you will and can get a bunch of built up lint, because again, oil, a lot of oil, a large amount will act like a magnet. Okay, so we've got the part clean. What are we going to do down here? We have got quite a bit of dust. Let me show you what was underneath this piece. And of course, we've worked so hard getting the machine clean. See if I can get this camera positioned properly. Now, I do not want to put alcohol on this part. This is painted. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to put a little sewing machine oil, just as I've shown all of you. And I really like using sewing machine oil to clean the painted surface. And look at that. You can see all the dirt that's coming up just with the oil. And that's really, it's taking care of it. I'll just go over it with one more swab here. Do it once more. And it's kind of, I save stuff like this for the end. I want all of the major procedures on a machine, like the motor, getting all of the gears cleaned of dust, grease, and then getting the new lubrication on. Once I'm done, I like to save things like buffing and polishing the exterior for last. I find that's kind of rewarding. You've worked really hard getting your machine ready, and it's like, oh, now I can just relax. And we get it all clean. Of course, I want to put this part back, and I'm going to, again, like I do with all of my restoring procedures, I'm going to put one drop of oil on the tip of this bolt or screw, and the only purpose for any of that is to make it easier to remove in the future. It took me no time, and again, it's just another one of those little extra details I like to do for my clients, because hopefully they appreciate the fact that they're getting something other than just an old machine. They're getting a machine that has been restored. I'll get my fat knuckles out of the way here so you can see it. And that because this machine, like many or if not all of the vintage machines, were designed to be serviced, they were actually created this way. You take advantage of the fact that it's meant for that. And something's meant to last a long time when it was designed to be serviced. even all these years later, I can still service it while I'm attempting to put this screw in. It's so funny. You can do things like removing a motor. There it goes. And then the, by the way, this little guide is slides. You can adjust the width of it. I'm going to leave it here where it was originally, but you can change that if you wish. And last but not least, sort of like putting the cherry on top, we're going to put a new washer. So when someone goes to wind their bobbin, they have a nice felt washer at the base of the spool pin. That is there not for aesthetics, although some people might care about the aesthetics of their felt washers. That is there to help thread spools stay put. Modern thread spools don't weigh as much as the wooden ones that were used in the past. And the machine originally came with felt washers, but they're especially useful now because without them, you have more of a chance of your spools going flying when you're winding on them. Well, there you go, guys. That completes the overhaul of the machine, I believe. I don't think I've left anything out. And I believe the next video I will make will show you all what this machine is made of. We're going to do some test stitching with it and get it ready for its debut. I guess that is its debut on YouTube. And I will get the listing posted for anyone who would love to come and test sew on it. And again, I can't do this with every machine that I overhaul. I like to introduce all my machines and then I like to show them when they're finished. But in this case, I thought that I would take this model. I wanted to do an overhaul of its motor. Of course, I did that in the motor series and thought, why not go ahead and just show all of you how I systematically go through this machine. And it can be useful, if for no other reason, to see how you sort of section off different restoration procedures so that you can, just finding a few spots here I want to polish up here. This is just sewing oil on the cotton swab. But just kind of showing you all there is kind of a method you can use. You can come up with your own. This is how I do it. And I basically give every one of my machines kind of I work on them in sections, and that way you kind of you have an idea of where you are, because if you hop around with the machine, you almost feel like you're never getting done with this restoration. But of course, it does get done. And now this good old girl is ready for a new life of sewing. It has been given the service that it was intended to have. And if you have an old machine and you sew with it and it hasn't been overhauled, if you think it sews great now, imagine what it can do for you when it is ready. It's really basically back to the condition it would have been when it was new, or pretty darn close. And then you really can truly appreciate just the power and the great sewing stitching that these machines were designed to create. And as I like to say, our ancestors had really good taste. I admire them. They had high standards as consumers, and maybe one day all of us will figure out how to get back to those standards. But in the meantime, we have lots of vintage machines to rescue. So thanks for watching, everyone, and stay tuned for the next video where I will show this machine and giving it its debut. A couple of oiling points down here or over here that I wanted to touch, and you will see the machine as it sews and as it was intended to sew. Thank you all for watching and supporting the channel. Feel free to subscribe if you like, and if you do, you'll be able to, if you want to be notified when new videos are coming, you can click on the little bell symbol and it'll tell you when a new video comes up on my channel. Thank you all for watching.